chocolate icing from scratch. I've already baked my cake. I just did some pictures just to show you my steps, but I didn't think you needed to go through all that because I use a cake mix, just German chocolate cake mix. So now we're going to do the icing, and I'm going to move you so you can see more of what's in the pot and while we're cooking it. Okay, so in my pot I have a cup of sugar, can of evaporated milk, 3 egg yolks, and a stick of butter. So we're going to cook this over the stove until it's well cooked, and whisk the egg yolks in with your milk. This is a delicious icing, and it's so easy. I don't care for the ones out of the can. I just like to do it myself. I'm just whisking this to get it incorporated. Now we're going to put it over the stove on medium heat until the butter's melted and it starts to cook up, and it will thicken on its own with the egg yolks thickening it for you. Once this gets warm, the liquid mixture gets warm, you need to steadily whisk it because it will stick to your pot and scorch. But mine is just beginning, so I've just made sure everything was stirred together. I have a liquid consistency. Most of my butter is melted, as you can see. So we're just going to let this cook a few minutes until I start to see maybe some light bubbles in it from the heat, and then I'm going to make sure to keep stirring it. I always make a mess on my stove when I'm doing something like this. I can't tell you exactly how long it'll take you to cook the icing because everybody's stove's different. I'm using a gas stove, it obviously may be a little faster, but because you're doing it on low heat, it's going to take a little longer. Right now I got it medium. If it starts to thicken really fast, I'll have to turn it down to a lower flame. And I do the medium heat to begin with because I'm trying to get the mixture brought up to a good temperature and not take so long. This is also my husband's favorite cake. And I got to be honest, I love it too, because who doesn't like chocolate and nuts and coconut together? So I'm going to try to tentatively time myself as to how long it takes, so I can give you some more information in the description below. Maybe it will help you if you've never done anything like this before. But I'm going to talk a minute like I just used a box cake mix. I use Duncan Hines. It doesn't matter if you prefer Pillsbury or whatever. I just don't use like the store brand. I just don't feel like they taste as good. But it's just the signature German chocolate cake mix, and you just add water, oil, and eggs. I did mine today in a well, it was a 15 by 10 pan, 15 by 10 by 2. I normally do it in a 9 by 13 by 2. I just wanted more cake and thinner layer of it, so that you get more icing with each slice. But you can do it however you want, or either you can bake 3 cake layers and put the icing in between each layer and on the top. As far as just getting the yolks, I assume everybody knows how to do that, but you can separate your egg, the yellow from the white. You can take your egg shells and keep doing them over a bowl until your yolk separates. But I have this little egg yolk separator. I've had it for years. It's a Tupperware egg yolk separator. You just crack your egg into it, and the yolk stays here in this little cup, and the white will come out of these holes that you see there. And there you have your egg already separated, so you don't have to worry about with the shell. And sometimes your yolk's going to break apart, and you don't want that because you don't need egg whites in this. So I find this very helpful. Now my mixture is starting to bubble. You can see it is coming to the sides of the pot, so I don't want it to stick, so I'm going to start continually stirring. And I'm going to turn my flame down just a tad. Wants to go out. I do this scraping the sides, the bottom, the little corners, because that's where it's going to stick. I've had this on the stove for 4 minutes now, so we're already at a cooked temperature. There's no need for a thermometer to tell you. You can do it by sight, and I will lean it over in here to see it. You can see the little bubbles forming. And that's what you want. I'm trying to get you closer. Sorry about moving the camera so much, but when you don't have somebody else to do this with you, it's a little bit more difficult, trust me. Now it's bubbling really well, so I definitely want to keep taking my whisk and doing the edges of my pot. I use this pot because it's a thicker walled pot. If you use a thin pot, it's going to scorch, I promise you. So the thickest pot that you have would be best. This is just an anodized aluminum pot, but it cooks really well. These things are old as I don't know how old they are. You can see it bubbling. And that's what we want. Back to the heat and more stir. It's getting a better consistency as well. It's already starting to thicken up. Sorry about the scraping sound, but I've got to keep that mixture from sticking. It's not a good taste when you got scorched egg yolks and butter. You can cook this as long as you want and as thick as you like. I don't like it till it's almost like caramel, because it'll turn into that. It'll keep going until it almost gets a caramel consistency. But I like it to spread out over the cake and a little bit of it to go down in your cake. Really good. Good and rich. You can make the cake mix from scratch. I've done it using the German chocolate and everything, but for the change in the taste, I didn't see where it was that much greater and not worth the trouble. So you do however you like. I prefer to use the cake mix. Faster, easier, get a better result, and faster result. I've got a good boil here, so it shouldn't take much longer. Been going for about 8 minutes since it started on the stove now. About 4 minutes since it began to bubble. I'll get a spoon, test, see how it coats the spoon. See how it's given a good coating? I'm going to cook it just a few more minutes. It'll turn a little more, not so bright yellow. It'll turn more of a caramel. Look, not deep caramel now, don't get me wrong. It's just a mellow looking yellow color. Let you see it. See how it drips off my whisk. Almost done, just a couple more minutes. And that didn't take that long, y'all. Not 10 minutes yet. Total cook time. Check our spoon again. This is was a silver spoon, so you can see how much it's coating it. And you can see the consistency. It's getting right. Get all that luscious goodness back off of this spoon. We don't want to waste it. It'll turn darker once you put your nuts and vanilla and coconut in, but you're not going to cook that on the stove. You're going to remove it from the heat and then add that. Okay, I think I'm going to take it off the heat, turn my stove off, and I'll show you what we do next. So now I've removed it from the heat for cooking it for about 11 minutes from start. I have a good dark look to my things, and we're going to add a cup of sweetened flaked coconut, and I add a bag of frozen coconut. You don't have to, it's totally your call on that. And stir that in. I've got a cup of chopped walnuts. You can use pecans if you like. Stir those in. And a teaspoon of vanilla. Just stir that together. Get that off my whisk. And I'm gonna go back to my spoon. and see what a thickness you have. Just the coconut and nuts adds that, but see, that was plenty of time, a 10 to 11 minute cook. Now that's on a medium flame. Let me get my stuff up, trash over here. I'll pull my cake into the picture. Okay. Now I'm just going to pour it over my cake. You can certainly let this cool if you like, but for time's sake, I'm going to go ahead and do it. You don't want it to cool too much. It will get too thick to spread. Sorry about the spoon sounds on the video. I should have used a spatula, I guess. After I already had the spoon testing my thickness. Okay. Put that back there. Smooth it out. Go to the edges. Clean up my mess. And now, there you have a German chocolate sheet cake. Like I said, this transfers right into a layer cake if you like, but it is delicious. So, hope you can see yourself to try it and enjoy.